So we're still talking about how to do math with numbers in scientific notation, and this time we'll be talking about adding and subtracting numbers in scientific notation. There's only one rule you need to remember when doing both addition or subtraction, and it's that before you add or subtract numbers in scientific notation, you have to make the exponents the same. Once they're the same, you can align the two numbers at the decimal points and then add or subtract them. So here's an example question. We're going to add 5.4 times 10 to the third to 6.0 times 10 to the second. So I'm going to go ahead and take that first number and I'm going to add it to the second number, but I see the second number's exponent does not match the first number. So in order to make them the same, I need to move the decimal point. Now I can't just simply write 6.0 times 10 to the third. That number is not the same as 6.0 times 10 to the second. 6.0 times 10 to the second is 600. 6.0 times 10 to the third is 6,000. So if I move the decimal over to the left 1, I can then raise that exponent to 10 to the third, and then I get 0.60 times 10 to the third. And if I punch that in my calculator, I get 600, which is the same as the original number, so it's still the same number. Now I can add them. If I add 5.40 to 0.60, I get 6.00. And note that the exponent stays the same. We don't add or subtract exponents. We just make them the same, and then we add or subtract the coefficients. Okay, I want you to memorize this. If you move the decimal point of a number in scientific notation to the left, the exponent increases. If you move the decimal point over to the right, the exponent decreases. So let me show you what would have happened if I picked the first number to change instead of the second number. So if I take the number 6.0 times 10 to the second and I want to make the first number also times 10 to the second, I'm going to need to move the decimal point on it. So the number is times 10 to the third, and I want to make it times 10 to the second. So I want the exponent to decrease. So to do that, I need to move the decimal point to the right 1 if I want the exponent to decrease 1. So if I move the decimal on 5.40 to the right 1, I get 54.0 times 10 to the second. If I go ahead and add those coefficients, I'll get 60.0 times 10 to the second. It's very possible that someone could go this route and get this answer and go ahead and circle it and move on to the next one. That answer would be wrong at this point. You're not doomed for a wrong answer yet because you picked the wrong number. You just left the answer wrong. Remember, a number in scientific notation has to be bigger than 1 but less than 10, and 60 is definitely bigger than 10. So all I need to do is move that decimal point over to the left 1 to 6. And if I move the decimal point to the left, remember the exponent increases. So it will change to 6.0 times 10 to the third, and that is the correct answer to this question. Okay, I want you to try this next practice problem on your own. I want you to subtract 7.1 times 10 to the negative 2 minus 5 times 10 to the negative 3. Go ahead and pause the video, and when you're done, I will solve it for you. Okay, so I'm going to take the number 7.1 times 10 to the negative 2, and I'm going to change the other number to 10 to the negative 2. So remember, I'm going to move the decimal point to the left if I want the exponent to increase, and move the decimal point to the right if I want the exponent to decrease. So we're dealing with negative numbers here, so it helps to remember our number line. If I'm at 0 and I'm going in the negative direction, like negative 3, and I want to make it negative 2, that is an increase in number. I'm getting closer to 0, so I'm increasing the exponent to make it negative 2. This can be confusing to some people. So if I'm increasing the exponent, I want to move the decimal point to the left. So instead of 5, I want to make my number 0.5 times 10 to the negative 2. And if you're not sure if you did this correctly, you're allowed to have a calculator. You can go ahead and punch these numbers into the calculator and make sure that your numbers that you're changing by moving the exponent or by moving the decimal place are equivalent to the original numbers. If they're not, you did it wrong. You can go ahead and fix it before you finish your answer. Okay, so now that our exponents are the same, let's go ahead and subtract 7.1 from 0.5, and we get 6.6 times 10 to the negative 2. Okay, so let's talk about what we've learned. Numbers added or subtracted in scientific notation must be expressed to the same power of 10. That means you need to move the decimal point to the left or the right. It would really be helpful if you could memorize this. This will really help you out in upcoming quizzes and tests. If you move the decimal point over to the left, the exponent increases. If you move the decimal point over to the right, your exponent decreases. I hope you memorize this, and I hope you use it to solve the problems. If you're struggling with this, note that this takes a lot of practice, and we're going to have a lot of time in class to practice these problems. But if you have any questions, please write them down and let me know.